Hey there. Welcome to Conversations with Coaches. We are, for those of you that are listening in the future, we're currently in April 2020. So we are during the COVID-19, everybody self-isolating, social distancing, the whole situation. And one of the things that is brought up is the new opportunities for new careers in this new economy. And I have on today Kathy Goughenour, who is an expert at helping people develop their new career. Kathy, why don't you introduce yourself and let them know what you do?
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it because this is a topic I love to talk about, which is creating a virtual career in the new economy. Because even if people are listening to this post-COVID-19, I know for sure our economy has changed dramatically from what it used to be, and it's never going to go back. So what I want to do is I want to help people be prepared for that new economy so that they can still not just survive, but thrive.
That is my favorite thing right now is helping people walk through those new opportunities. How can they pivot? What can they do? So what tips do you have for those people that have kind of, especially right now or at any time in the future, they're trying to figure out what's next. What does the economy look like? What are they going to do? How are they going to fit in?
Yeah, so my number one thing is to just stop and take a deep breath. And I know that might sound really very basic, but kind of center yourself, because I don't know about other people, but my mind gets to spinning. It spins and spins, and then I go down into a deep dark hole. And when I'm doing that, I can't think straight. I can't make good decisions. So pause for a minute, and then after you do that, and after you say, you know what, and literally this is during the COVID-19, this is how I think about this. I'm alive. And as long as I am alive, I have the next exciting thing, whatever that's going to be. What is my next exciting adventure? And then after you do that, so the next step would be, then you can start thinking about what's next, right? I know I'm going to be okay because I'm alive. And now what's next? If you keep looking back and you think, oh my goodness, I can't wait for that job to come back. I can't wait for my life to be, as some people call it, normal again. That's a fantasy that is not going to occur anymore. You have to think what's next and get excited about that.
I love that mindset because it is so important right now or at any point when your life has changed, right? Because COVID is a specific time in our lives. But 5 years from now, someone could have lost their job, or they could have gotten pregnant, or they could have, there's all kinds of things, good and bad, that could have happened that makes you want to reassess what it is you do and how you do it. So I guess, what are some of the things that you help people find in their business, and how they can look at their skills and maybe find something that they can do virtually?
Yeah. So Jennifer, I love what you just said, to reassess, because we're gonna get to be very nimble, very flexible and fluid. We're gonna get to learn how to do a lot of that as we go through these next, like you said, year, 2 years, 5 years, even the next decade. And quite honestly, our lives, even before COVID-19, had been spinning faster and faster. This stay-at-home period of time has given us a little bit of room to not spin so fast. And I'm hoping that we can keep a little bit of that as we move forward, but I don't know that it will happen. What I do know for sure is that everything's going to be a lot more virtual than it ever has been in the past. So what I invite people to begin thinking about is, whatever they're doing, how could they do it virtually? Because I will tell you that almost no matter what it is, there is some way that you can pivot to do it virtually. What I specifically help people do is I help them look at how they could be what used to be called, or what is generically called, a virtual assistant, and what I've trademarked as a virtual expert. And the difference between the two is a virtual assistant is more of a generalist, a general administrative assistant, and a virtual expert is more of a specialist. They have specialized in something that they really love to do and working with people that they particularly love to work with. Jennifer, I'll tell you that I've been doing some online webinars, and I get a particular question over and over again, which is, sure, maybe you can do this. Maybe those other 200 women that you have already trained and that are doing this can do this, but maybe I can't do this. And that is just absolutely not true. You know my saying, what one woman can do, another can do. There are enough different specializations that you can do as a virtual expert that you're going to find something that you will enjoy doing. Like what you love to do, Jennifer, is really just the opposite of what I love to do.
Right.
You want to talk about what you love to do?
So yes, I mean, I love strategy, and I love analytics, and I love the numbers of things, which is completely opposite. I also happen, for those of you that don't know, love to be at home. I don't need interaction with other people. So I am not really struggling with, but there are people like you that are extroverted, and they are, you know, struggling with the whole working from home, being home kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think, I know that there are a lot of expertise out there. And I think you and I had a conversation a while back about one of the people that are in your group who came to you and said they wanted to specialize in Excel. You want to tell everybody what you said to them?
I don't remember. What did I say? I said, yes, it's possible. Actually, but I don't know what else I said.
You actually wasn't sure. You actually weren't sure it was.
Oh, that was when I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
That was a while back.
That someone could build a business off of Excel. And she has built a fantastic business doing something that neither one of us understand.
So, and Jennifer, that's a perfect example. Honestly, that shifted my thinking, because I really did. I thought, I don't know that you can make a living doing that. But once you really look into something in depth and really see what people could do with it, oh my gosh, it's amazing what she does with Excel. Kate, who's in our group, she's a virtual expert, and she had a client really this past week who was in construction. You wouldn't think that anybody in construction could create a virtual business. Well, guess what? She has been able to, with Kate's help, pivot and create a virtual business that she is now earning money from. So don't limit your thinking. Don't stop and think, well, there's no way what I do could be virtual. It could.
It absolutely.
You'll have to make some tweaks, but it could be virtual.
I think that's one of the things that COVID-19 is really giving everybody the opportunity to look at, and looking at their business and figuring out, how can I make changes? What can I do? How can I pivot? How can I use this as an opportunity? And if you're creative, you can definitely do that. There's tons of things.
Like, I just thought of something. Do you think anybody's actually delivering food with drones? Because, oh my gosh, I would love to have a pizza delivered to me by a drone.
So true. And yeah, I don't know about food, but I've seen news articles about like meds and stuff like that being delivered by drones. So yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities out there. So I think, what would you tell a woman, maybe, or a person, maybe they're not, this isn't COVID-19 time, right? Maybe this is 5 years down the road, and they're pregnant and they're trying to decide, they don't really want to go back to work after they have the baby. What would you suggest to them on how to kind of look for a new opportunity?
Yeah. Well, if you have the opportunity to begin to learn and create your new career before you're in an emergency situation, that's what I recommend. And while pregnancy isn't an emergency situation, you do have at least 9 months to plan. And so 9 months, you can do a whole lot in starting your new career in those 9 months so that it's ready for you to do once you get done with your job and you go into whatever you're going to do. Like if you're going to take off a little bit early before you have the baby or right after you have the baby, it's already there. It's already set up. So start planning early as possible. You know, one of the things that I see that people do that is super smart, for example, is if they know they want to leave a job, or like they know in 5 years they want to retire, if they start their virtual expert career now, just part-time, 5 to 10 hours a week, and begin learning and growing and setting it up, they're going to be just in a perfect place to transition into that in 5 years when they have retired. And what I see often happen with that is they'll begin that knowing that their goal is 5 years, and then they're into it and they're like, I really like this. And they'll say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and retire early. Christine, who's in our group, she did that exact thing. She was like, a boss came to her and said something really nasty to her. And she's like, you know, I'm going to go ahead and retire. Thank you very much. Because she already had this business started. So it gives you options. And oh my gosh, I don't think there's anything better in life than having options.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Especially, I think one of the things I've been saying a lot to my clients right now is just start. If you start, you know, where you get to in 3 months, 6 months, a year, but you've got to start. So are there fields or areas that you think people tend to maybe lean towards, or are there some that are more profitable than others when it comes to a virtual business?
As far as virtual experts, what I look for a combination of things. Now, I can point out some very specific things that are profitable, like project management. And please, if you're listening to this and all you know is corporate life, you have to just let go of the way things work in the corporation, because online, virtually, working as a virtual expert, you don't need to have that project management degree or certification. What you need to be able to do is be really good at coordinating things and managing teams. And if you're good at that, and you know, that could mean that you've been a really good mom and you've really coordinated your kids well, or you've been a really good volunteer and you've been really good at coordinating that can translate into a well-paid job as a project manager. So kind of take that thinking cap off of, I must have a degree, I must have a certification. No, those corporate things don't matter online. What matters online is, can you actually do the work? And can you meet deadlines? And if you can do that, nobody cares how old, how young, what color you are, what color your hair is, how skinny or fat you are, what degree you have. None of that matters online. I think I got off track. What was the question? Oh yeah, but how do I identify? Well, I got on a roll there. How do I identify well-paying things? So project management is one. The kind of the combinations that I look at are, what are things that are evergreen? By that I mean people need it month after month after month. It's not just a one-off project. It's not just a wintertime project or a summertime project. It's something needed all year long, hopefully month after month. So that's one thing. And then the people that you're targeting, your ideal client, do they value what the service that you're offering? Do they already value that? Okay, because you don't want to have to talk them into valuing it. You want them to already go, you know what? Yes, I need help with this. So they already know they have a problem with that and they're looking for a solution. And then third, are they able to pay? Okay, so you want those three things. Is it an evergreen service that's needed? Does the target market you're reaching out to value it? And do they have the money to pay?
Those are really good points. I think one of the things that people often think when they go from a corporate job to working from home virtually is that they're going to be working the same amount of hours or 2 to 3 times the number of hours that they worked in the corporate world. And is that a myth or is that fact?
Yeah, so Jennifer, you probably won't be surprised by this, but what I have found is people really have no idea how many hours they need to work when they work from home versus working in the corporate world, nor whether or not they'll be bigger procrastinators than they already are in their corporate jobs, or less procrastinating when they work from home, whether they're working for somebody else or for themselves. I know I was like that when I started back in 2001. Oh my gosh, at my corporate job, I could not hardly make myself get up and go into work. I dreaded it. I dragged my heels. I dragged all the way through the day. And I really thought if I ever tried to work from home for myself, I will never get anything done. But the reality was quite different. Once I got home and started working for myself, I have to force myself to stop because I love it. I get excited by it. So don't assume that just because when you're working in the corporate world in an office, you're going to be the same when you work from home. You very well might not be. So what I recommend is set a schedule. Brainstorm with yourself and think about, am I a morning person and am I an evening person? You know, what's going to work best for my family, and set a schedule. And then in the beginning, stick strictly to that schedule. There's no, oh, I'll watch another TV show before I start. No, you've set this time, start. And then work until you set the time to quit or have lunch. So you have that strict schedule. And once you do that for a while, you can see, do I like this schedule or do I want to modify it a little bit? And when you modify it, go ahead and modify it and then try that one and see how that goes. If you don't have a schedule and you've never done this before, you're going to spend all your time watching television or playing games or whatever it is that you do. I'll tell you what I do when I procrastinate. If I really, really, really need to procrastinate on something, I'll do something that I never do, like clean out the refrigerator.
That is so true.
That's how bad I can get.
I think the schedule is so important for people. I know I was talking to someone recently and her schedule, she's been working from home for a couple of months and her schedule was like 8 to 5 or something like that, normal business hours. And she was saying that she does her best work at 1 a.m. And I was like, well, then why are you working 8 to 5? Like,
right. Shift it.
Yeah. It allows you to have that flexibility. I think that's one of the best things about working from home. For being a virtual expert of your own business.
Right. Yeah, we've got a woman in our group who has kids, and she and her husband want to share the responsibility of raising the kids. And, you know, as all people should share, in my opinion. But, you know, he's really into it. She's really into it. And he works a regular 9-to-5 job. So she takes care of the kids from 9 to 5. Then when he gets home, they have dinner together. They do that. And then he goes to bed. I might not have this exactly right. He goes to bed. No, actually, I think she goes to bed until like 1 a.m. And then he goes to bed at 1 a.m. She gets up and she works. And then they start the whole thing over. So he works during the day. She works in the middle of the night. They meet for dinner, and then they each sleep at different times. And I thought she was crazy. I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. But it works for them because it really makes their life so much easier because somebody's always there to help the children.
Yeah, it allows for that flexibility, which I think is one thing that we all get to look at right now. Like we've all been home for, well, depending on where you're at, we've been home for three to 4 weeks, and we get to take some time and reassess like what's working in our lives and what is not working in our lives. So I think now's the perfect time if you're interested in a virtual career in this new economy. Now's the perfect time to do that. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to connect?
Okay. Could I say just one more thing about the schedule thing? Because you triggered something that made me think of this. So a lot of times people will say, so I'm just starting my business. Why should I set a schedule where I work 30 hours or 35 hours or 40 hours? And you want to set whatever time that you ideally want to work. Like if you want to work 30 hours a week, if you want to work 40 hours a week, if you want to work 20 hours a week, set that schedule now and stick to it, because believe me, there are tons of things you can do to get your business going even before you have clients. And then you'll have that routine. You will have tried it, you will have tweaked it, and you'll have that routine that you love already once you get super busy with clients. Because like Jennifer and I, before we started the recording, she was like, how's your day been going? And I'm like, well, I'm just going from one meeting to the next. And she's like, me too. And that's how you're going to be when you're really successful. You're just going to go from one thing to the next, and you don't have time anymore to figure out how to be flexible in your schedule. So do that before you get really busy.
I agree. That is really good point.
Yeah. Don't waste that time when you don't have to be busy. Use that time wisely to get everything set up. So how can people get a hold of me? So you can go to my website. It's virtualexperttraining.com. And on that website, you will find several free things that you can participate in. So I have a webinar that you can watch on demand or live, whichever you prefer. I have a 5-day challenge that you can watch that's already been pre-recorded. And who knows by the time you listen to this, what else I'll have on there. I'm always coming up with something new and different. But there'll be a lot of things on there. And you can also, find my phone number, my email address, everything else right there.
Awesome. I will have all of the links and information on how to get in touch with Kathy in the show notes below. So if any of you are interested in a virtual career, I encourage you to connect and see what that looks like for you. Thank you for.
And I have one other offer. One other offer. Do you mind? I'm sorry, Jennifer, I interrupted you. But I don't want to forget to say this. So if you are somebody who is listening to this and you're like, well, I don't want to be a virtual expert. I need to hire a virtual expert. I also do free matchmaking sessions. So contact me, go to my website, click the link to contact me, and schedule a time to talk with me. And I will find out what your needs are, and I will give you recommendations for up to 3 virtual experts. And I'm really good at matchmaking.
Awesome. That's actually, I think that's almost as good as getting your career started, finding someone that can help you grow your business. Thank you for joining me today, Kathy, and thank you everybody for joining us in Conversations with Coaches. I will talk to you soon.